أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to Ahl al-Bayt TV and the 7th in our 10-part series called The Ark of Salvation with our guest Dr. Mustafa Qazwini, who has been discussing a number of different topics surrounding the event of Karbala, inshallah. Today we'll be discussing with him and asking us to impart his knowledge on us with regards to, the question will be, was it the Shia who actually betrayed Imam Hussain alayhi salam? Let's start by first and foremost welcoming our guest to the studio, Dr. Mustafa Qazwini. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much once again for joining us. So the first question is, as of course around this time of year we get the same accusation. So I would like to start by asking you first and foremost, were the inhabitants of Kufa all Shia?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ahli baytihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin wa ala Sayyidi wa Mawlai al-Imam Abd al Hussain, and my regards and my salam to you, my dear brother Hajj Abd al Rauf, and to all my brothers and sisters, the viewers who are following us. If we look at the demographic and the structure of the city of Kufa was was built as a garrison town, a military town, during the reign of the second caliph, Umar ibn al-Khattab. But when Imam Ali alayhi salam was chosen as a caliph, the fourth caliph, he decided that now Medina is far from the eastern side of the Muslim countries, so we have to move closer to them so people have access to the capital of Islam. So he moved to the city of Kufa, and there are other reasons. People discuss them why Imam Ali moved the capital from Medina to Kufa. But Kufa was not entirely a Shia population. In Kufa, there were many groups, including non-Muslims. There were some Jews. There were some Christian tribes living around Kufa. There were some Kharijites who were fighting against Imam Ali alayhi salam. They seceded, the separatists, seceders, and they were based in Kufa. Many prominent leaders of the Kharijites were based in the city of Kufa, including Abd al Rahman ibn Muljam, the one who murdered Imam Ali, and many others. Beside the Kharijites, there were a huge portion of the Umayyad supporters and followers who moved to the city of Kufa during the reign of the third caliph, Uthman ibn Affan, from Hijaz, even from Yemen, and from other parts like Basra, other parts of Iraq, they decided, and from Syria, they decided to go and settle in this new city, the city of Kufa. And of course, Umayyad, you know their stand against Ahl al-Bayt. And Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, after the martyrdom of Imam Ali and before the martyrdom of Imam Hussain, in the middle we had the reign of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, who ruled for more than 20 years, by the way, more than 20 years, as a caliph, and before that, more than 20 years as an emir, governor of Syria. So for 40 years, his rule lasted for 40 years. He sent two of his staunch supporters from Sham to Iraq to change the demography of Basra and Kufa. He sent Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad to Basra to be the governor of Basra. Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah, however, he sent him to Kufa. Those were, the very most corrupt people in the Umayyad regime, Umayyad political system and military system. And people with corruption, people who were licentious, people who enjoyed murdering and suppressing and persecuting others. So he sent them to these main cities. So they tried to crush, on the one hand, crushing the supporters and the followers of Imam Ali and Ahlul Bayt. On the other hand, they would promote those who opposed Ahlul Bayt. So Kufa was a different Kufa. Kufa during the time of Imam Hussain in year 61 Hijri is different from the Kufa in the year 35 Hijri during the time when Imam Ali went to it. The demography of the city was changed. Maybe during the time of Imam Ali, maybe the majority were Shias. 25, 26 years later, the demography was changed. And we see this in some countries. I don't mention names. In some countries, small islands, they want to create a balance, so they deport. On the one hand, they deport some people, and instead of, and then they bring others, they give them citizenship, so they can create this equilibrium, and they don't feel threatened because they feel always insecure. So this is exactly a policy that was pursued by Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan and Bani Umayyah. So the city of Kufa was no longer the center of Shi'ism during the martyrdom, the time of the martyrdom of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. There were many other elements, as I mentioned. Non-Muslims were there, supporters, followers of Bani Umayyah were there, and Kharijites were there. And of course, beside them, there were some leaders of the Shia movement.
Inshallah. And I suppose it's also quite telling as well that even round about the time just after the martyrdom of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam Ali alayhi salam, and we have the accession of Imam Hassan, it can't be a Shia town because he found it very difficult to muster an army in the first place.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, what about the nature of the army? So we have an understanding of all of the different elements in Kufa, and of course it's a garrison town, so it will, the army or part of the army, a percentage of the army that fights Imam Hussain alayhi salam comes from that particular town. What was the nature of that army, and you know, where did the rest of the army come from that made up that 30,000 that fought Imam Hussain alayhi salam?
Some historians nowadays, especially nowadays with the rise of sectarianism in the Muslim world, they tend to say that the army was a Shia army. It was the Shia who invited Imam Hussain, the Shia eluded him to come, and it was the Shia again who murdered him, the same people. So this is not our problem, this is your own problem, and this is why you have this self-flagellation, beating yourself because you feel sorry for what you did to him, because you betrayed him. But this is not true. This is not true. If you examine the history and the fabric of that army, you find many of them, they came from Syria, from Sham, a Syrian army, who came, the commanders of this army, they were in Syria. They were dispatched from there, including Ibn Ziyad. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad is not a native of Kufa. Ubaydullah came from Syria. He's not the native of Kufa. And most of the commanders of that army also came from Syria, from Sham. Besides those who were also in Kufa at that time, they were the products of Bani Umayyah. The majority, the vast majority of the army, to be accurate here, and I am responsible for what I say, the vast majority of the army was a Shami army. We don't use Syria because Syria is a contemporary term. من بلاد الشام, جيش الشام, the army of Sham. And so the vast majority of them were from there. This is why, if you follow the details of the battle, you will find that Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he addresses them on the day of Ashura, يا شيعة آل أبي سفيان إن لم يكن لكم دين وكنتم لا تخافون المعاد فكونوا أحرارا في دنياكم. all the followers, the sympathizers of Abi Sufyan. They were not Shia. If they were Shia, he would say, all my followers, all the friends of my father, the friends of my family. They were not. They were the followers of Abi Sufyan who decided to come. And if you follow their discourse with Imam Hussain, Brother Hajj Abd al Rauf, this is very important. When he asked them many times, why do you murder me? You don't know who I am, you don't know about my father. Some of you were with my grandfather when he carried me, when he kissed me, when he said, Husaynun minni wa ana min Husayn. Some of you among you are still living today, companions of the Prophet. You saw what my grandfather did. Li wa li akhi. How he treated us in a nice way, how he wept for us. So why do you do this? What was the answer? The answer was, نُقَاتِلُكَ بُغْضًا مِنَّا لِأَبِيكَ. Because of our hatred towards your father Ali, we are murdering you. What does that mean? Are those Shia? The simplest meaning of Shia, the basic meaning of Shia are the followers of Ali. Followers of Ali. They are telling him, because we hate Ali, we are killing you. So they are not Shia. They are admitting that they are the haters of Imam Ali alayhi salam. They hate him, they cannot tolerate him. This is why they decided to murder his son. So they were not Shia. When you studied and analyze the Islamic and dissect the Islamic history during that time, you will find that the vast, I would say 90% of them were from the Bani Umayyah side who came with the intention of murdering Imam Hussain. Alayhi salam.
Alayhi salam. This is just a side point which I, again, I would like to seek some clarification on. Alhamdulillah, that statement of Imam Hussain, which you mentioned when he calls them the Shia of Ali Abi Sufyan, is very clear what he considers them to be and answers those critics of today. But I'm just curious as to why he chose the name Abi Sufyan and not Yazid, or why not Muawiyah?
Good point. Because the mastermind of this movement, the Osama bin Laden of this movement, was Abu Sufyan, not Muawiyah. No, Muawiyah bequeathed this hatred from his father. Muawiyah was groomed and pushed and encouraged to fight the Prophet and fight Amir al-Mu'mineen by his father Abu Sufyan. So the journey of hatred and jealousy against Ahlul Bayt started with Abu Sufyan. He's the founder, he's the mastermind. So they are the Shia of that man, the first man who for 17 years he was spearheading the fight against Prophet Muhammad ﷺ until the last minute when he was captured during the conquest of Mecca, and he had no choice. He cannot run away. He could not run away. Al-Abbas, Nabi, was taller, bigger than him. Abu Sufyan was very short. He captured him, he carried him, he put him on a mule or donkey, and he brought him to the Prophet. And then he had no choice. Reluctantly, in his heart, he was very upset, reluctant, but he had to say to save his life. So they are the Shia of Abu Sufyan, not Muawiyah. Muawiyah is in this chain, in a ring in this chain that started with Abu Sufyan.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Are you saying, when you mentioned the makeup of the army and that the majority of the army was from Bilad al-Sham, are you saying that there were no Shia at all in the army that fought against Imam Hussain alayhi salam?
The vast majority of the army was Syrian army. However, we would never vindicate all the Shias, because Shias are also human beings. And many of them who lived in Kufa, they were intimidated by money, by position. And they were recruited by Bani Umayyah based on, we will give you salaries, we will give you money, we will save your life. Some of them, out of fear, they did not join. They did not come to help Imam Hussain. Some of them, again, out of fear and tama, agreed. They joined the army of Bani Umayyah. After inviting Imam Hussain and writing to him and telling him, قد أينعت الثمار واخضرت الأرض واخضر الجناب. When Imam Hussain sent Muslim ibn Aqil, and they said they gave their pledge, they gave their allegiance, bay'ah. 18, Muslim ibn Aqil sent a message to Imam Hussain. He said, today 18,000 of them, they gathered around me and they paid their allegiance. So unfortunately, some of them, though minority, were Shia. Not the entire army was against Shia. Some of them were pro-Shia, but dunya, Brother Abd al Rauf, dunya changes the people. This life, as the Quran says, minkum man yuridu dunya wa minkum man. They were only Shias by name, not by spirit, not by loyalty, by name. Maybe he's born Shia, but he knows nothing about Ahl al-Bayt. Or his Shi'ism, his faith in Ahl al-Bayt, in the Prophet, in the Holy Quran, was not deeply rooted. It will be shaken by intimidation, by bribery, by greed, by fear. And we see this in many countries today. So some of them, unfortunately, they invited Imam Hussain. They asked him, this is why Imam Hussain, he took the letters on the day of Ashura and he showed them, Fulan, 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 you were the one who wrote to me. These are your letters. They said to him, you lie. We never. He took the bag, he took the letters one by one and he said, look at your handwriting. This is your letter. You invited me to come. And you tell me I lied to you? I don't lie to you. But unfortunately, dunya changes the people. Some people, Allah says, أَكَفَرْتُمْ بَعْدَ إِيمَانِكُمْ. Surah Al-Imran. On the Day of Judgment, we're going to punish some people because after they accepted faith, they rejected it. أَكَفَرْتُمْ بَعْدَ إِيمَانِكُمْ فَذُوقُوا الْعَذَابَ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ. So we have it definitely in every society. We have those weak-spirited. They are minority, but unfortunately they do exist.
I don't want to sound apologetic or become too defensive, but can we not say that although the Imam had so many letters, thousands and thousands of letters from those who asked him to come, when we use the term the Shia of Imam Hussain in this regard, living in Kufa at the time, can we not use the term more loosely? And I explain what I mean very quickly, and that is Shia in a theological sense means somebody who knows that Imam Hussain alayhi salam is God's representative on earth, the most pious, most knowledgeable human being. He is infallible, etc., etc., and therefore must be followed. The 72 understood that. Can we call the Kufa people Shia in that theological sense, or Shia in that, yes, they were supporters of Imam Hussain, but just because either because they respected him, which is fair enough, or because they hated Yazid, not because they considered him to be a ma'asum imam?
We had both. Many of them, many of those who were called Shia, they were sympathizers with Ahl al-Bayt because they were fed up of, as you mentioned, with Bani Umayyah, tired of Yazid, tired of his father Muawiyah. So they were sympathizing with Imam Hussain, not necessarily believing that he's appointed by his grandfather, the Prophet, or he's an infallible Imam or legitimate leader. However, among those who were called Shia, they were also, though minority, those who believed that he's the right Imam and they should listen to him. They should support him. They have a duty, a responsibility of supporting him and listening to him. And they were theological, philosophical Shia, not just emotional. Not just emotional. They knew that this is the path, this is the way, this is the salvation, and this is the legitimate Imam. But then, when they are intimidated, they arrest their children. You know how much Ibn Ziyad was in Basra. Yazid said to him, leave your post in Basra, rush to Kufa now because Muslim ibn Aqil has arrived. We're going to lose Kufa. He took 500 people with him when he left the city of Basra, heading to Kufa, north. Those 500, some of them, they perished because he had no rest, changing horses, no sleep, no food. He was rushing himself. when he arrived in Kufa, he arrived alone. He left Basra with 500. Those 500 could not continue the journey with him. Some of them really perished. Some of them, they were tired. They got sick. They could not run after him. And then when he came, he entered Kufa. People thought, this is Ibn Rasulullah. They celebrated. Then he was disguised. Then they realized, this is Ibn Ziyad. He came to them. From the first second he started the language of threat, terror, exactly the same way ISIS is doing today. Intimidation, okay? And he did that exactly. He did what he said. He implemented what he said. So they started a campaign of severe intimidation and terror against those sympathizers with Imam Hussain, the Shias, and they defected, unfortunately. And I'm not surprised. There were people with the Prophet Muhammad. They knew he's the messenger of Allah. They knew that Allah is with him. They went to the battle with him in Uhud. All of a sudden, they run away. And this is in the Quran. This is not a fairy tale. إِذْ تُصْعِدُونَ وَلَا تَلْوُونَ عَلَىٰ أَحَدٍ وَالرَّسُولُ يَدْعُوكُمْ فِي أُخْرَاكُمْ. God is chiding them. He says, you knew he's the Prophet. You know that you have to listen to his commands, but you chose to run away from him. And you never even turned to see what happened to your leader out of fear. So if that happens, it happens everywhere. When it happens with the Prophet ﷺ, with people who were with him for a long period of time, but last minute they desert him. So it happens with Imam Hussain too.
And last point is, again, is it not the case that when Ibn Ziyad comes and has this crackdown, especially on the supporters, but on the whole of Kufa, again, I guess percentages-wise we don't know, but of course we have the fact that many were imprisoned, some even killed. And of course the blockade, because of course we always hear every year the story of Habib, how he has to leave Kufa, use the cover of night to leave. So we have to take that into account as well, don't we?
Absolutely. Kufa was under military rule, under martial law, if you will, curfew. So there were jawasis, spies, in every alleyway, in every street, in every corner, in every market, listening to what people are saying. And the example that you gave is a very, very vibrant example, real example, that even Habib, who was an important leader in the city of Kufa, he had to disguise. So nobody knows about him. And he would go to support Imam Hussain. And many tried to go. They were captured. They were detained. Those who attempted to go and join the camp of Imam Hussain, they were, they used to call them the security point, checkpoints, masalih. Masalih from Silah. There is a checkpoint and people of Bani Umayyah standing there and they will check the IDs of the people. Where do you go? What's your name? So when they realized he's a sympathizer with Ahlul Bayt, they will detain him. Many of them were killed before they were able to join the camp of Imam Hussain.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. This was the 7th in our 10-part series, The Ark of Salvation, with our guest, Dr. Mustafa Qazwini, who has been discussing the makeup of the army that fought against Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Inshallah, join us next time for the 8th part in this 10-part series. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.